Well, it's that time again. Oulton Park this time. Let's get to it. Right, so welcome. Oulton Park, a bit weird this one. At Oulton Park, we only do Friday and Saturday. I've had a little bit of a whinge on the drive back. You might have seen that one, and it's about how it all goes wrong, which it did go wrong, and it's a bit, and there's nothing you can do because it's to do with the church, I believe, at Oulton Park, and it's same as Brands. Couldn't race until after a certain time. Same at Croft, couldn't race until a certain time because at Anglesey, Croft or Anglesey, we couldn't race because of a church as well. Which is fair enough, but it was a really, really bad show this time. Just how it was. Right, apart from that little whinge, race itself, and the race consisted of qualifying, race 1, race 2. Yeah, that were it. There is no third race. There's no racing on Sunday. How it worked, we qualified on the Friday, and then we actually had a race on Saturday, race 1 and race 2. Racing for qualifying, that's all you got, qualifying, race 1, race 2, 249 quid for qualifying and 2 races. Right, the test day. There was a track day the day before. I didn't pay for track day. It's just getting too silly. So I didn't do that. But the test day itself, now, I've said we qualified on the Friday. Guess what Friday morning were? The test day. It were £109 for the test day. That's 3 sessions. Now, we get there and you get 3 sessions in the morning, and then it's qualifying in the afternoon. That's Friday. As you can gather, looking at this face, didn't buy it really, did I? I mean, I paid for it, but what I'm saying is, it were a bit of a letdown. It's not. Didn't even feel like race weekend. It were a bit pants. Yeah, just because of how it worked. What I will say is that morning testing weren't even worth it, and I'll come to that in a bit when I cover rest on the tyres and all that sort of stuff. The fuel for car, it was 186 mile, a little bit further than Caddy. Not as many back lanes and so forth, but cost me £116 in diesel. It's a diesel, it's an X5 40D, and it did cost 116 quid. Petrol. Now, petrol for the bike. And I actually bought super unleaded this time, instead of just normal unleaded. And what I will say is, I didn't use any of it really. I did buy 64 quid's worth, but I'm not going to put 64 quid's worth. I only used, believe it or not, 34 quid's worth. I just used over half, and I'll come to why. That's it. So I actually saved 30 quid's worth of fuel. I'll be taking that to the next round, which is Donnington. That's the last round. So that's the total for that, which £508 for the full weekend racing. What I will say is, not even worth it. Not even worth it. I wish I'd not even gone, but they can do something better. And it's purely because of this and this. That test day, I'm not being funny, we went on Friday. There were a track day Thursday. And I totally understand people can't get Thursdays off. Do you know what I mean? I always book Thursday, Friday off. I have to use my holidays. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Then most of my holidays gone. So, you know, another day for the Thursday, for the track day. What I'd say is, because you can't race on a Sunday, this is my thought. They'll probably not even listen to this or take it as an idea. Why don't you do Thursday as the test day? So you got, instead of a track day, have it as a full test day. Makes sense. On the Friday, you've got qualifying in the morning, race 1 in the afternoon, endurance in the afternoon. Because I'll tell you what they did this time. We had the test day, right, in the morning. We qualified, and that were it. That's all we did. On the race day, on the Saturday, we had race 1 in the morning, and I think mine were like 20 to 10, and it were already running late. They put endurance in the middle of the day on the Friday, and our second race weren't till, our second race weren't until 20 to 5, and they were running late, don't forget. So they got race 1, endurance, and race 2 all on the Saturday. Just didn't make sense. And it's, after what happened in race 2 as well, what they've done is, obviously there were a couple of accidents, and they cancelled Rest at Racing Foot Day. I'm not surprised. I was stood there still after, it was about 20 past 6 when we got told, oh, we're not running any more races. Brilliant. So we stood around for hours. I mean, it really weren't worth it. They need to really look at how Oulton's done. Make Thursday the test day. Friday will be qualifying, race 1 and endurance, just like normal. And then on the Saturday, you can have your races, your race 2 and race 3. Everyone's happy. I think I better stop whinging about that and get to other part now. So let's do that bit. Right. Now I've had a whinge. Let's get to the nitty and gritty part. Now, this is normal part. It does fall back in order. Don't forget, I got them 2 wrong way round. So, but it makes no difference on my on my chart. So, Oulton Park. Remember, green is full cost. Red is what I pay. So, the actual race day was 249. 109 for the test day. Petrol 34 and fuel 116. Bit of a difference between Cadwell, and we're only a few mile, but that's how it works. Let me get a black pen. I messed up there. Right, tyres. This is where we've got a bit of a thing with tyres at Oulton Park, purely down to weather. The test day, don't forget, we had 3 sessions on test day. It was a mix. It rained. It didn't rain. It rained. Right? So, I'm afraid, extra tyres. Now, slicks-wise, don't forget. So, for slicks, it was 1 front, 1 rear on for the dry session. So, 1 front to 1 rear. And I did have to get another front. So, it's one where I'm not even thinking that. So 1 front, 1 rear, £440. If you're paying full price, I'm glad I had some spares. It only cost me 100 quid. That's what I bought. Because I buy my scrubs. I've explained this numerous times. I buy scrubs. So for the test, for that dry session, it cost me 100 quid. and I probably will get another session, another track day, or I don't know if I'll get a full track day out of them, but I'll certainly get a couple of sessions in the track day, which is Donnington. So I will use them again for the track day, or part of the track day. It did rain, and we had wet sessions. Now we had 2 wet sessions, 1 dry session, 1 wet session. So a set of wets, a set of wets, and I'll put W there. So there's slicks, that's wet. Now, the wets for a front. Now, I run Metzler wets because that's what I had. Now, I have priced it for 1 front, 1 rear. You're talking 400. Oh, green. 460 quid. And then 120 quid is what I paid for a set of wets, front and rear. Scrubs again, not brand new. Now, as it went on, what I will say is, that test day, the first wet session went okay. The dry session, that weren't too bad. But, what is it? No. The first wet session, which it was wet, the first session, that was okay. The dry session, when it started to dry, or was dry, people were just binning it. Brilliant. I think I got 5 flying laps. 5. I did beat my time from last year by, I think it was 7 seconds. So I have learned a lot since last year. And because I think I did a 2-minute last year there, and I did a 1:53. So I were happy. I were happy with that. So I did something like that, and that was when it were dry. But then when it went wet, we had a full session where we had a few runs on wets. Well, then the second wet session, same again. I think I got 3 laps on the second. So we had three runs on test, and two of them were ruined. Just people throwing them in bush. So them wets, didn't really use them much. Right, which is why for qualifying was wet, but it weren't wet. It was one of them conditions where it rained, it dried, it rained, it dried, and we were on that cusp. Now, what happened were, the 600s went out before us. They had a big accident, overrun, and then we went out. But when it overrun, it made it us go out later, which we were on that cusp of, is it wet, is it dry? No one knew. There were such a mix of tyres. People were on wet fronts, slick rears, full wets. I don't think anyone had intermediate. Someone might have had cuts, slick. And there was such a mix of tyres, honestly. It was like no one knew. And it was last minute as well that we had to change. And I mean last minute. Thinking that on my bike, if I change tyres, I have to put it onto the computer as well. That takes ages. So for the qualifying, I'm not going to put tyres down because I think we were all in the same boat, and I think we all used whatever we had at that minute. Then we come to race 1. Now, race 1, what I will say is, it was dry. One rear tyre, right? Because, you know the front from earlier? Yeah, used it here. And I presume most of the lads did as well, who put slicks in. So I'm not even going to put down that they put a new front in. If they did, they did. But I'd say that if they did that slick, that test on that slick, because they only did 1 session, don't forget, they'll have kept that front for the race as well. Now, 270 quid with discount. Yeah, for a rear. That's how much you pay full price. And guess what? I paid 270 quid. I bought my centre tyre. I bought me a tyre, which, I still did a 153. I did try and get a bit faster, but just stuck in traffic. You'll have seen that if you're watching this. That's the tyres as such. You can see there's a massive difference. Now, I haven't mentioned race 2. Race 2 was wet. But I'm not even putting tyres down. There was a massive accident, and Andy, if you're watching this, get better soon, mate. Andy Stewart is my competition. I've been racing against Andy most of the year, and bad accident. I doubt he's going to make end of season at Donnington, but hopefully see Andy next year again. So all the best, Andy. I don't want to mention other rider because he's involved in something else as well. But race 2, we started it, big accident. We stopped, we waited ages, we went back out, started it again. 1 lap and another crash, which was Craig. Craig Everson had a little off. He is all right. I did see him a bit battered and bruised, I must admit. He's struggling to walk. So I did see Craig. But we then waited because there were fluid on track. I don't know what it was, petrol or oil. I don't know. But after I stood around for a good hour, maybe hour and a half, they then decided to cancel racing for rest at day. So I'm not going to put a tyre down for race 2 because we didn't use one. We literally got 2 sighting laps and a warm up. If you've seen it, you've seen it. You know what I mean? So that's the tyres. If you're buying brand new tyres, 1,170 quid. If you're like me, 490 quid I spent, and that's because I bought a brand spanker. Oh yeah, I have got that. I've only rubbed it in reality. I've used it. I used it in race 1, didn't I? But I'll probably use that for qualifying now at Donnington. I'm going to save it. I'm not going to ruin it by doing it on track day. I'm going to save that tyre to do qualifying, and I'm going to buy another tyre. It's bloody Craig. Craig's spoiling me with brand new tyres. Brake pads. Now, for a change, my bike was working okay. I say it was working okay. I have forgot to put some on here, which, yep, I will put it on. The pads. Now, because of weather, I always use RSTs, 809 RSTs, SBS. Don't sponsor me, but if you want to, give us a shout. SBS, RST, 809 RSTs. I use them in wet or when it's really cold, because then I use DCs, 809 DCs, when it's hot, because they work a lot better. I put the brand new set of RSTs in, and it felt like the head nut were loose, because every time I press a brake, it was juddering and bouncing. So obviously when I come back into, I did the race on them, or qualifying on them, should I say, but then I took them out, put the slicks in for race 1, and I just couldn't get the wheel in with them pads. And I took the pads out numerous times. I swapped them around, I checked them and looked at them and cleaned my calipers, did everything, and the RS, I think they're warped. And I have checked, and not being funny, I've checked multiple times now, and you can see that they are brand new, but I think they're warped, because I then put a set of DCs in, fitted straight away, absolute brand new set of DCs in. Sorry, they weren't brand new, I'll come to that. So I put the DCs in, fitted straight away, no movement at all, no like juddering, nothing. So the RSTs, there's something wrong with them pads. So it is a double bubble, and it does count for both. This one, RSTs are only 55 quid, do you know what I mean? But the DCs, I put them in at Cadwell Park, and I was saving them. You know, like I always swap them around. I keep swapping them around because obviously DCs are a lot better. But I've had to use DCs as well, which were 88 quid for DCs. So pads, I've had to use 2 sets. One set's got to go in bin because they're absolutely atrocious. And I've checked them on a square and they look level. They just won't sit in. Oil and filter. I did do oil and the filter, and I had to buy a new sprocket because I have shown on another one where the sprockets really were really worn. I won't be buying that brand again. It's the black ones. So oil and filter is 54 and a tenner foot filter, 54 quid for oil. I use Shell at the moment, and the sprocket, I got it on a special actually. I got it for 45 quid, a rental one. So I got that for there. That's the costing for Oulton Park alone. Now, if you were, now I've got to add that 45 on because I did forget about that. Green, right. So green is £1,910. That's if you buy brand new tyres and all that sort of stuff. Now, mine was £1,250. That I have added the 45 on. I had it where I'd worked it out earlier and it was cheaper. But 1,910, 1,250. That's just for one weekend. I'm not being funny. That has been the worst weekend for me. And I don't mean money-wise. I mean as in what we got from it. Every other one has been a real... I don't know why I'm pointing to costy bits. Every other one, we've had a full race. You're in a full race weekend. And you can't do anything about accidents. I'm not blaming accidents. I'm just blaming how they're trying to fit everything in to two days when it clearly didn't work. You know what I mean? Oulton Park's a really good track. It's a good track, bit bumpy. Really, really, you have to force it round, I'm going to say that. But I think that's most money I've spent for the least amount of track time. Test day were ridiculous, just not included wet. I got, what, 5 or 6 really good laps where I could actually ride the track. Every other one, it was just atrocious, to be honest. And then it was straight into quali. And you can't do all about weather. I always say I want it to rain, but when it's wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, what can you do? Right. That is how much it cost to go racing. That's Oulton Park now. That's done and dusted. Next round is Donnington. That's at end of month. We're now in September. So next one is Donnington, and don't let your missus hear any of this. I keep saying it. You know, go watch Jamie Harris's. That's a better one if you want the true cost of racing. So, right. If you've enjoyed it, guys, even though I seem to have whinged all the way through this one. I do. I seem to have whinged all the way through. I think it was because it was such a letdown. It could have been so much more. And it was so hectic as well. But, yeah, it's one of them. Donnington's final round. I will say now, we're in endurance as well. So there is an extra little cost, but that's because we chose to do it. and it's for the very last one. So until next time, catch you later.